Hey there, everyone. So here we are at part 3. You've crossed the halfway point. We are almost done with bad assertions from flat earthers. If you haven't seen the other 2 videos in the series, I suggest you go back and check those out first. I've taken a flat earther video, cut it into 4 parts, and so we're just picking up where I made the cut. So, with all that out of the way, let's dive into more flat earther lies and deceit.
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
Well, goddamn. A minute in and already we've got a dishonest and out-of-context quote mine. When Bill Nye says this, he's talking about launching garbage into space, the cost to do so, and that, as a species, we're stuck here and there isn't anywhere else for us to go. Well, let's hear it from Bill.
My second question is, are there any reasons besides ethical dilemmas that we haven't shot some of our trash from Earth into space? I know it might contribute to space junk, but if we shot it far enough away, besides maybe then contributing to other creatures' environments if they do exist, what are the downsides to doing that, and why haven't we, if it might then clear up space on Earth and clear some of the pollution that we have? Or not contribute then to landfills. We might be able to shoot it elsewhere.
Why we don't throw trash into space? Because it's too expensive. Lifting a ton of material into space takes an extraordinary amount of rocket fuel. And by the way, when people want to send this much plutonium-238, which is not even the weapons plutonium, a baseball size, grapefruit size, people freak out because the rockets sometimes blow up. Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go. There's no place to throw your trash. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe not you, but your kids develop ways to mine our landfills.
See, another out-of-text quote mine for the sole purpose of deceiving the audience. I've got a link to this full video down in the description because I'm more honest than the liar that made this video.
Rockets don't have brakes. It literally stopped. All of that angular momentum from the rotation of the rocket and the linear momentum from flying up just stopped. No, it had to have hit something. But what did it hit? If it hit a solid surface, the rocket would have been destroyed, and most likely the camera too, so we wouldn't have the footage, and obviously that's not the case.
Kicks and deals. It's a long fly ball going back, and the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium. Oh, Simpson just broke this dream's reality wide open.
I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
no place to go.
Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now.
People figured out that we were an enclosed system. The more advanced we got, it would be the biggest thought on our minds. That's all we care about. You could make a wildlife preserve 1,000 miles square. All people, all human beings would do is just be knocking on the fence constantly, going, why is this fence here? Who built the fence? Why are we in here? And so on and so on.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
Okay. So, apparently, either the person who made this video doesn't understand that rockets will lose momentum when they run out of fuel and are still within the Earth's atmosphere. They make the comment about, it must have hit something, hoping that the audience doesn't understand the concept of gravity in an attempt to mislead the audience, or maybe both. Using movie clips and Simpsons clips is just dumb. It would be like me using clips from the movie Meg to try to prove the existence of Megalodon. And the clips of Hillary Clinton is just more quote mining. But apparently, now he isn't just saying that the Earth is flat, but that we live in a snow globe too. Now, as for the whole Operation Fishbowl thing, if you do a search for Operation Fishbowl and firmament, the only thing that come up are religious and conspiracy websites, but no reliable sources. Just lots of speculation, assertion, and Mahuli book! Nothing with any actual evidence or facts. Now, don't get me wrong, Operation Fishbowl was a thing. It was just the high-altitude nuclear tests that were part of Operation Dominic. The tests were with Thor missile-launched warheads that were detonated at altitudes ranging from 30 to 248 miles. There were several failures: Bluegill Starfish, Bluegill Prime, and Bluegill Double Prime. The rockets were destroyed by the range safety officers due to electronic malfunction, motor malfunction, and loss of control of the rockets. But they weren't trying to blow up some mythical dome.
Earth, 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 yep, 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 Earth, Earth, yep, 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 yep. Earth!
If you start here, and you go around long enough in the same direction, you wind up in the place you started from. Yes, Thomas?
Why don't we fall off when we walk underneath, Miss Sarah?
Because of a force called gravity.
What does gravity look like?
Gravity is something we can't see, but we know it's a great invisible force that keeps us all here on Earth. It's a natural force that keeps us all from flying off into space.
We were always told that the world is flat.
You are told right. Don't listen to her. I've been patient with you, Sarah. Lord knows I've been patient. But now your words have revealed you.
The law of gravity was discovered by Sir Isaac Newton in 1687. That's almost 200 years ago, Uncle Evan.
But there is only one law. The law of God.
Okay, so now if we're going to drag Christianity into this, the flat earthers are going to have a lot more to explain and provide evidence for. The first thing is the existence of their God and why their religion is correct and every other one that makes different claims is wrong. Then they're going to have to explain and provide evidence as to why the biblical claims of a flat earth and firmament are correct when every other claim the Bible makes is wrong. As for the gravity denial, they need to explain why things don't float away and everything is pulled to the same point. This is another problem with the flat earth. They must deny gravity even though they have nothing to replace it with and no other explanation as to why things are pulled to the center of mass of a more massive and denser object. If they were to acknowledge gravity, then by default they would have to accept the globe Earth. Why we have an atmosphere without a firmament, the orbit of the moon, Earth's orbit around the sun, the orbits of the planets, and so on. The law of gravity completely ruins their fantasy.
What is gravity?
I have no idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. Okay. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know. Einstein, in an Einsteinian answer, we would say gravity is the curvature of space and time. And objects will follow the curvature of space-time, and we interpret that as a force of gravity. That's probably the best answer I can give to a what is gravity question, or why is there gravity. That's the best I can do there. I think that's a good start.
So because there isn't a physical thing to study, and there are still unknowns about gravity, let's add a laugh track. And because the person who made this video doesn't understand and is too lazy to look into it and actually learn something, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Let me ask this question of flat earthers. If gravity doesn't exist, explain why we can measure it, study it, and use it to predict things and see its effects on things. Also, if gravity doesn't exist, what is the force that has all the properties and effects of gravity, but isn't gravity? Well, here we have another attempt to deliberately mislead the audience. This little clip is an attempt to say that footage from the ISS is all fake. That grid background is not a green screen type of background. In order to use any masking or chroma key, the background must be a solid color. The grid pattern would not let that background work. You would see the grid. Also, the subject can't be wearing anything that's the same color as the background, otherwise that item would disappear. The astronaut is wearing a blue shirt. With a blue background, his torso would disappear, and all you'd see would be in the frame would be a floating head with floating arms in the waistline. The grid background is most likely to measure whatever he is doing with that ball. The person who made this video is attempting to deceive the members of his audience who don't know about the use of green screens and how masking and chroma keys work in video productions. The only fraud here is Hibbler Productions.
The world is round.
What?
You know how everybody believes the world is flat, like a pancake? Well, they're all wrong. The world is actually round, like an orange.
The world is an orange. And?
And? Well, that's it. It's a great idea. It's one of my best ones.
Yeah, but what kind of orange? Is it a navel or a juicer? What?
Look, just sleep on it. In the morning, the idea will come to you again, and you won't even remember where you got it. Get it?
Got it.
Good. I must say, I really thought you'd catch on to this a little quicker, Copernicus.
What? My name's not Copernicus. I'm Charlene Sinclair.
You're not Copernicus? This isn't 16th century Poland? Oh boy, I screwed up.
How do you brainwash? You repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, if somebody's resisting the concept, if you keep fucking repeating it, they'll incorporate it in their brain. Since you were a kid, you've seen this image. But you've never seen it from that point of view. But your brain has three-dimensionalized. Oh yeah, that's the Earth. How? Through repetition.
Let's just all get on our hands and knees and wait for a scientist or an astronaut to come along, or Neil deGrasse Tyson to come along and bestow upon us their knowledge.
Well, not everyone can be an astronaut, physicist, cosmologist, astronomer, or scientist of some sort. There comes a point where we have to trust the people who do this stuff for a living. The peer review process is not pretty, and whenever an idea is put forth, other people spend years scrutinizing it, looking for flaws, inaccuracies, and generally trying to disprove it. I'm sorry, but some asshole on the internet who doesn't understand the concept of gravity, with no scientific background and no background in physics, isn't going to disprove the law of gravity. For example, I have a friend who's an immunologist. I can't disprove anything that she's done because I don't have the knowledge and the understanding that she does after spending a decade studying the stuff to get a PhD and then going out in the field and working in a lab and actually putting forth the work to conduct the proper experiments. Someone find me a physicist or a cosmologist who thinks the Earth is flat and gravity doesn't exist. I'll wait.
As you can see, this is the evolution meter, and I've put God, the creator of everything, on the right side, and evolution on the left. I won't change my mind, because I don't have to, because I'm an American. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
And that right there, folks, is the flat earther mentality. At least this guy's admitting it.
Mac, look, you're wasting our time. You're not going to get us to not believe in evolution.
And why is that?
Because the smartest scientists in the entire world all agree that it's real.
I'm glad you brought that up. Mr. Reynolds, these were all the smartest scientists. Only problem is, they kept being wrong!
This is insane, you fool!
I'm a fool because I have more faith in the saints that wrote the Bible?
Yeah, because you just read the words of a bunch of guys that you never met, and you just take it on faith that everything they wrote was true.
And what makes you think what your scientists are writing is any more truer than my saints?
Because there are volumes of proven data, numbers, figures.
Have you poured through the data yourself? The numbers, the figures?
Well, no. No.
Oh, interesting. So let me get this straight, Mr. Reynolds. You get your information from a book written by men you've never met. And you take their words as truth based on a willingness to believe, a desire to accept, a leap of, dare I say it, faith?
Come on. Look, I mean, I don't even know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Come on.
I rest my case.
Now, see, the difference is the mountains of evidence, the peer review process, and the education. We're all the flat earth physicists, astronomers, and cosmologists. Where are the peer-reviewed findings of flat earthers that actually passed? Where's the evidence for the flat earth? And I mean actual evidence, not assertion, arguments from ignorance, denial, or the paranoia of some grand conspiracy. Where is the definitive flat earth model with the same or better predictive capabilities as the globe and heliocentric model? Oh, there is none? Funny that. But for some reason, we should accept the flat earth idea. Sorry, flat earthers, you're going to have to do a lot better than that.
Matter tells space how to curve. Space tell... Did I get that right?
The science community is ignoring a lot of the things that we're looking at, and so normal people are going out and doing experiments. And one of the experiments has turned up an amazing fact that we've not been told, and it destroys the whole idea of this heliocentric system, and that is the moon. Now, you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now, that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, you know, the scientific community have not told us this, because they won't tell us this, because it destroys this idea that the sun is, is lighting up the moon.
We aren't told that because it's wrong. The moon doesn't produce its own light. If it did, we wouldn't have moon phases or shadows of the craters on the moon. Both of these things would be impossible if the moon produced its own light. Also, how does it produce light? What is the mechanism for the production of light? Currently, the fusion of hydrogen atoms is what produces the heat energy and light in the sun. How does the moon do it? It's cooler at night because we aren't taking the direct energy from the sun. Our atmosphere holds in some of the heat, and we still receive some energy from the sun, but we aren't in the direct path of the heat energy. Do these people think that the night side of the planet would be absolute zero at night if it wasn't for this mysterious moonlight and moon heat? And where is there evidence for this assertion?
Everyone knows, like, if you're in sunlight, it's colder in the shade, right? So if it's 100 degrees in the sun, it's 90 degrees in the shade. You go to the moonlight, like, especially in a full moon, especially if it's high in the sky, the moon is its own independent object. It is not reflecting the sun rays. The sun is its own object. Also, you know, about the same size, which is, you know, again, coincidentally, you know, why the moon fits so perfectly in front of the sun during an eclipse. We always thought it was coincidence that even though it was 400 times farther away, that it was also exactly 400 times less diameter, which is why it fits. And the other weird thing about the moon, which everyone thinks, oh, it's just a coincidence, is that we never see the other side of it. It's constantly perfectly rotating, so we only see one side of the moon. Exactly one side. It's not like we have like a quarter of a degree every 5 years or half a degree here and there. It's always the same side. There are no coincidences when it comes to this system. It was deliberately built, but I think it was deliberately built to be detected. And I think we were naturally supposed to figure this thing out maybe as late as the 1970s, but the government figured it out first, and they have been spending a heck of a lot of money trying to keep it a secret.
It's cooler in the shade because we aren't in direct sunlight. We aren't taking direct heat from the sun. He mentions the full moon. Well, if the moon produces its own light, why are there shadows on it? Yeah, right now the moon appears to fit over the sun, but so what? If they were both small and local, why is the area that gets a total solar eclipse not bigger as well as the areas around it that see a partial eclipse? Also, if the moon produces its own light, why don't we see it? Why is it dark when there's a solar eclipse? Where's the moonlight? While we're on it, if the moon produces its own light, why do we have new moons and lunar eclipses at all? We don't see the other side of the moon because it's tidally locked. It doesn't rotate. That's why only one side faces Earth. Oh, and the big bad government figured it out first and is hiding it, huh? Why? For what purpose? Not only that, we've known about most of this stuff for hundreds, if not thousands of years, long before the US government was even a thing. Not to mention, with the conspiracy that big involving that many people, where are all the leaks? Where are the whistleblowers? Somebody would surely have spilled the beans by now. The government can't keep shit secret. Oh, sorry, they can't keep anything secret except for the flat Earth. That one, they've got no problem with. Well, everyone, that's all I've got for you for Part 3. Please check out Parts 1 and 2 if you haven't already, and keep an eye out for the grand finale of Part 4. As always, if you like my videos, please subscribe. And I do have a Teespring store set up as kind of a fundraiser to help support the channel and help me afford some stuff to help make better videos and do some cool experiments to give you guys some better content. It's a win-win. Also, please comment. I always look forward to feedback and discussion. With all the shilling out of the way, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.